Do you ever feel like you're constantly waiting by the phone? You've texted him last, the conversation was great, but now, radio silence. You're checking your notifications every 5 minutes, wondering, why doesn't he call me? What if I told you that you could change this dynamic without playing games or being manipulative? In this video, I'm revealing the 3 powerful steps that will have him thinking about you, and more importantly, picking up the phone to call you first. Stick around, because step number 2 is a total game changer. Step 1. The mindset shift. Become a prize to be won. Let's start with the most important step, the foundation everything else is built on. Your mindset. This is the internal work that creates external results. The core concept here is that your energy and self-perception are everything. You must begin to operate from a place of abundance, rather than scarcity. Scarcity sounds like this internal monologue. He's my only option. If I don't keep his attention, I'll lose him. If I don't reply right away, he'll forget about me. This mentality is what leads to anxiously waiting by the phone and ultimately to you always being the one to initiate contact. You're coming from a place of need, and that energy, however subtly, is felt. To break this cycle, you need to cultivate an abundant mindset. This means genuinely knowing and believing that you are a catch. You are the prize. This isn't about arrogance. It's about a quiet, unshakable confidence in your own value. When you know your worth, you understand that your attention, your time, and your affection are valuable gifts. You stop giving them away so freely to someone who isn't actively reciprocating. This shift is crucial because people are instinctively drawn to those who have a strong sense of self-worth. Confidence is magnetic. When you carry yourself like someone who has a full, fantastic life and options, he will subconsciously start to see you that way too. So, how do you practically implement this? It begins with stopping the insta-reply. When you drop everything to answer his text, the second it comes in, you are broadcasting that you have nothing better to do and that his communication is the most important event in your day. Instead, you must build a life that is so interesting and full that you genuinely are busy sometimes. You're at the gym, you're having dinner with friends, you're focused on a work project, you're lost in a good book. Your life does not revolve around him. A powerful, actionable tip is to consciously shift your energy allocation. For the next week, make a deliberate effort to focus 80% of your mental and emotional energy on your own goals, hobbies, and well-being, and let only 20% be focused on him. This isn't about ignoring him. It's about recentering yourself. When you do this, you stop being the pursuer and you start embodying the person who is worth pursuing. You become the prize, and prizes are not chased. They are won. Step 2. The communication catalyst. Master the art of the open loop. Now that we've laid the foundational mindset, let's talk about a practical communication technique that puts that mindset into action. This step is all about how you end your conversations, because the ending is what creates the beginning of the next one. The core concept here is to master the art of the open loop. An open loop is a psychological principle where you introduce an idea or a question, but don't immediately resolve it. It creates a sense of anticipation and curiosity in his mind, making him feel compelled to circle back to you to get closure. You are essentially handing him a natural and compelling reason to be the one to initiate the next contact. Most of us, without realizing it, become conversation enders. We use polite but definitive closing statements that bring the interaction to a natural and complete stop. Sending a text like, "Okay, good night," or "talk to you later," is like putting a period at the end of a sentence. The conversation is over, and the burden is now back on you to start a brand new one tomorrow. The open loop technique, however, replaces that period with a comma or even a cliffhanger. It's about leaving a thread dangling, one that he will feel a natural pull to pick up later. So, What does this look like in practice? Let's say he texts, "That sounds fun." A closed-ended response would be, "Yeah, it was. Okay, bye." The conversation is dead. Now, let's apply the open loop. A powerful response would be, "It was. It actually reminded me of that story you told me about your camping trip. I have a question about that, but I'm just running into a meeting. Tell you later." Do you see the magic here? You've paid him a compliment by remembering his story, you've introduced intrigue with a pending question, and you've gracefully exited the conversation on your own terms. You've given him something to think about and a clear, low-pressure invitation to reopen the dialogue. The actionable tip is to always think about planting a seed. Mention something interesting you'll talk about next time, or ask a thoughtful question and add, "I'd love to hear your thoughts on that when you have a moment." You are not chasing. You are inviting, and that is a fundamentally different and far more attractive energy. Step 3. The withdrawal and reward system. Let him feel your absence. The final step brings everything together by introducing a powerful rhythm into your dynamic. The core concept here is to create a gentle push-pull by strategically letting him feel your absence, but then crucially rewarding him when he moves toward you. We've all heard that absence makes the heart grow fonder, but that's only half the truth. Absence, without any positive reinforcement, can simply lead to him moving on. The true magic happens when you combine a thoughtful withdrawal with an enthusiastic reward, creating a system that subconsciously trains his brain to associate pursuing you with a fantastic feeling. This begins with the strategic pullback. After a fantastic date or a really engaging, deep conversation, the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Resist the urge to be the first one to text the next day with a "I had a great time last night" message. This doesn't mean you're playing games or being cold. You are simply allowing space for the experience to settle and for him to have the opportunity to reflect on it and, most importantly, to miss you. By not immediately filling the silence, you create a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum, and human psychology works similarly. That space you create is where anticipation builds. It's where he starts to wonder what you're doing if you're thinking about him, and it gives him the room to actually feel the desire to reach out. You are allowing the natural law of pursuit to take effect. However, this only works if the pullback is followed by the reward. The entire point of him initiating contact is to create a positive feedback loop. When he does call or text first, your response is critical. This is the moment to be warm, enthusiastic, and fully engaged. Let your voice light up. Tell him, "I'm so glad you called. I was just thinking about you." Or, "Hey you, I was hoping I'd hear from you today." This positive and appreciative energy is the reward. It teaches his brain on a subconscious level that taking the initiative to contact you leads to a wonderful, validating, and happy interaction. He feels like a hero for calling. This taps into a well-known psychological principle called intermittent reinforcement, the idea that rewards given unpredictably are far more compelling than constant, expected ones. By combining your full, interesting life from step 1 with the intriguing communication from step 2, your attention becomes a valued and rewarding prize. He learns that reaching out to you is always a positive experience, which makes him far more likely to do it again and again, all on his own.